Hello everyone, my name is Lucio, and with phases 1 and 2 over, which I've decided to call the Genesis Saga, I thought now is a good time to let you in on some behind the scenes secrets by telling you every idea that was scrapped from all the movies and shows released so far. I'm going to start with all the projects that I've cancelled, mostly from phase 1 as it is the most experimental. This would basically be a combination of Fast and Furious and Pixar's Cars movies. It would have been based on street racing teams facing each other in some sort of World Grand Prix comprised of night races. I scrapped it as it didn't really fit with the rest of the universe. This would have been a Lego stop motion movie based on the old clip from my old stop motions video. It would have featured the historian exploring a cave, finding a helmet that spawns an armor which gives him the power to create energy constructs. The main enemy would have been a gargoyle, which had history that connects to the armor, and at the end Doctor Strange would show up. This would have been the origin of Hulk in the Toyland Universe. In this version of the story, Bruce is irradiated by an explosion at his father's lab, who was researching gamma rays. That is pretty much all I've written for the movie, and I never picked a villain. This movie would have explored Vector's fragile mental state after his resurrection in Shanghai. The main villain would have been Freddy Krueger, who acted as sort of a sleep paralysis demon for Vector. The entire script was written, including a post-credit scene with Black Widow, which I just turned into the bar fight scene in The Guardians. Basically, The Office, but with the Toyland Police Department. This would have developed the members of the department, but without much connection to the rest of the universe. This would have been a prequel featuring Black Cat, acting as a sequel to one of the last episodes of Spectacular, where Spidey and Black Cat have a falling out. Another version of the movie featured a depressed Peter who is afraid of talking to MJ after the events of Superior. I didn't have a villain in mind, but I had written a moment where Vector gives him a pep talk similar to how Vector helps Ben in Where Not. With this being said, I am currently working on making a third Spider-Man movie, so stay tuned for that. Now moving on to the project that actually released, in this movie I wanted to have Tony build an armor to bring him to 6-inch scale, which would explain his growth spur between movies. Instead I just pretended it was normal, and it seems nobody really cared about Tony doubling in scale off screen. By far the movie with the most cut content, as it had the most elements to play with. I almost had Batgirl show up with the Bat Family, even making a figure of her, but I decided to cut her out in order not to overcrowd an already quite full movie. The same story can be said about Red Hood as well, who I also had a figure made for, which I then turned into Ben 10. Another element was Iron Man creating the Silver Centurion armor. This was cut after I used the Silver Centurion armor I had to create a Robotian figure, thus leading me to using the Mark 70 armor for Tony. Jade, the Petrosapien, who appeared briefly as Robo's girlfriend in the past, was gonna show up in the movie and help the Sentinels. She was also cut due to overcrowding, and also because she's not a very developed character in my universe. Batman was also supposed to die protecting Gotham in this movie, but I decided against it as I wanted to explore his world further in the future, mainly in the Batman and Harley Quinn show that I announced over on X, or Twitter if you're normal. So that was all the scrapped content from the Genesis Saga of the Toyland Universe. With everything being released, it is now time to move on to the next phase, which I am really excited about. I was Lucio, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.